The power is not held within the aux cord. Honey, the power is held in you. Howdy, hello, how are you doing? My name is Victoria Shell if you're new here. If you're not new here, welcome back. Very happy to see you. I am an epileptic singer-songwriter and independent music journalist, and in today's video, we will be talking about the art of making a playlist and how I curate music based on the vibe. Because that's what curating music is for me. It's an understanding of a vibe translated into music. So I'm going to walk you through my favorite methods of curating playlists and then show you some examples of those methods using my personal Spotify account. So let's get into it. The very first rule of making playlists is that there are actually no rules at all. There is no right or wrong way to make a playlist, in my opinion. It's not about if a song is good or bad. It's about if the vibe is right. The vibe is the energy of the room, the car, whatever setting in which music is being shared. The moment that someone passes you the aux cord, you are not just in charge of the music. You are officially the vibe controller. Your duty in that moment is to find music that either fits into the vibe of the setting or transitions the vibe of that setting into what you or the group wants the vibe to be. So here are some questions to ask yourself to pinpoint the vibe. How am I feeling? How are the people around me feeling? What setting are we in? What are we doing? Or what are we going to do? What is the purpose of the music being played? Is it just for the background? Will people be singing, crying, screaming, dancing? Like, what do y'all need to get from the music in this playlist that you're making? Pinpointing the vibe, that's the first step in any playlist that I make personally. That's my first step, step one. So now, here we are, you've pinpointed the vibe, right? You've got it, you've tuned in, you're understanding the energy of the space, the energy of your people or whoever, just yourself, whatever it is. So at this point, I would consider the order of the playlist, meaning, do I want this to be an all shuffle playlist, so a randomized, you can just press play and you're done? You just go ahead, like a kind of set it and forget it type of playlist? Or do I need it in a particular order? Like, am I curating it like people curate albums where it's designed to be played song by song in a very specific way for the greater good of the vibe? Or alternatively to both of those, is it made either way where you can shuffle or listen to it in order and it's made for both so that you get the same vibe either way, just different interpretations of the vibe? Those are the three methods I use for deciding the order of a playlist. So it's either an all shuffle, a strictly song by song, listen to it this exact way, or it's a hybrid playlist where you can one and done shuffle it up, or carefully song by song tune in to the energy of each perfectly placed, picturesque piece of music. It's a choose your destiny. You can do whatever you want. And those are just the ways that I'm thinking about it. Keep in mind, this is all just my methods and how I make my specific playlist. So you've pinpointed the vibe, step one. Step two, now you've figured out the order of what you want to do. You figured out if you give a shit if it's in order, or if you don't give a shit if it's in order. Either one is fine. Now it's time to choose the actual music. So now we're into the actual curating section, okay? This is where the ability to tune into the vibe is the most important. Whatever sparked the idea of the playlist, whether it's a song, a situation, a moment in time, a feeling you felt, you are curating the vibe through music based off of that concept. So like if you're starting with just one song that you heard, you want a whole playlist full of songs that feel like that song felt. So take a moment to sit down and from beginning to end, close your eyes and listen to that song. Listen to the energy being projected through that song, how it hits your ear, and where your ear wants it to go next. There is a moment when you're listening to a playlist where you are waiting to hear what's coming up next. But when you're making a playlist, you're not waiting, you're choosing. So you get to decide where the vibe goes. And if you trust your ear, then you just kind of follow down the rabbit hole of the situation or the song or the time period in your life in which that vibe came from that you're basing the playlist on. Does this make sense? Another way that ties into this same concept to start a playlist is based off of an image, which is now where we can get into the talk about playlist covers, which is genuinely one of my favorite parts of making playlists. In the same way you eat with your eyes at like a restaurant and the food is coming over and you see it and it looks so good and your mouth starts watering and you're like, give me that shit right now, because it just looks so good. That's how I feel about playlists and album covers. You eat with your eyes. That cover is the first taste that you're getting of the vibe and the energy of that playlist. And it is so much fun to play around with what you can do with a playlist cover. When I scroll through new music or finding playlists online, I am always looking at the cover because I'm a very visual person. And when I see a playlist that doesn't have a cover and it's just like kind of all the little squares of the music, I probably just am not even going to look at it unless the name of it is really funny or something. And it doesn't mean that those playlists are bad. They might be some of the greatest playlists of all time ever. I just feel like those are playlists that are not inviting. Like I'm not invited to those playlists. When I can see that someone took the time to match the vibe from the music to the cover image to the title, all of those things together, that's like my perfect playlist trifecta. That is what makes a good playlist to me. The vibe being curated, not the music itself. I say a lot on this channel about how I think music is ultimately a language, and playlists are like journal entries to me. They are like little music picture collages of moments and thoughts in my life that I can go back and revisit and replay every time I put them on. Sometimes they're stupid, sometimes they're sad, sometimes they are purely for the purposes of shaking my ass, but they always feel good because I curated them for myself and for the feelings I was experiencing that is reflected in that music on that playlist. So when I share those playlists with others, they feel that energy too because I put it in the playlist. Playlists are little music communities in themselves. And sharing your community with others has been what's kept music going throughout all of history. From sending handwritten sheet music via a messenger bird to burning illegal CDs off of LimeWire to now making playlists on streaming services like Spotify or Apple Music if you're that girl. Couldn't be me. It's all a way of connecting with each other. So, a little recap before I show you the examples of my playlist. Step 1, pinpoint the vibe. Tune in to whatever situation, whatever frequencies are surrounding the music and the situation that you're making a series of music for, okay? Step 2, figure out the order. All shuffle, specific order, song by song, or a hybrid playlist where you can do both. Those are the 3 that I go back and forth between. Step 3, picking the actual music. You are curating a vibe through music based on a concept. A concept can start in many different ways. It can be a time period or a situation, an emotion, a set of emotions. It could start with just one song only, and develop from there. It can start from an image. You can start with an image that ends up being the playlist cover or whatever, but you're finding music that matches the vibe of your concept. And that is my easy breezy 1, 2, 3 step process into making a playlist. So now let me show you playlists that I have on my Spotify that employed the methods that I talked about today. The first playlist that we're going to talk about is my Sadly Gentle playlist. I started this playlist after I was on TikTok and I heard a song by Leith Ross, I think I'm saying that right, that is as of now still unreleased, but I just love the song, still waiting. Absolutely will wait till the day I die for that song. It's that one that when it was really viral on TikTok, depollute me, pretty baby, suck the rot right out of my bloodstream. All right, so when I heard that, it was just this beautiful, beautiful feeling that was a sadly gentle. That's just what it felt like. And I described the playlist as the sound of unsettling, soothing sadness. Because that was the vibe. That is the vibe of that song. It's sadly gentle, okay? That is vibe. Vibe has been pinpointed, step 1. Step 2, the order. This is a hybrid playlist. This is designed to either be shuffled or played in order depending on what you're feeling that day. If you want to shake it up, shuffle it up. Either way, you're going to be unsettlingly soothed and sad. So, that's the point. Step 3, picking the actual music. So when it came to this one, it started with a song that was unreleased. So when I tuned into the vibe of that song, I went to my Spotify and I looked through the songs that I already had and like songs that I know that kind of emit that same vibe, that feel like that. And I started with one. And because I use Spotify, they have a lot of really cool tools to use to find new music and to like go to the radio or go to the playlist or do all this and to find stuff that you like. I just kind of fell into rabbit holes of playlists and songs that matched the sadly gentle vibe. So I just kept adding them. And then bingo bango, I have a playlist now that's 3 hours and 47 minutes long and has 864 likes, which is fucking cool. And it's fun. And it's a little community in itself because everybody that listens to that playlist is feeling some type of way about something and needs to feel this from this music in particular. And that's a shared experience. And that's really cool. That's my favorite part about music. So that's the method of picking a song and starting with the song, which you can also just pick the song on Spotify if it's an already released song, same thing. My next playlist example is an example of a playlist I created based off of a situation / time period in my life. So I have epilepsy, right? And I was diagnosed last year after I had a big ass seizure. It was a crazy situation. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm actually 1 year seizure free. Thank you. But I made my epilepsy playlist, songs in the case of my next seizure. I cope with humor, okay? So this playlist literally cracks me up. The cover image is me in the hospital with the EEG shit on my head. Wild. But this playlist is all songs that are puns for having a seizure. So lots of shake jokes, lots of hitting the floor jokes, all of that, just totally one after another. Really, really, really dark humor about having seizures. It is one of my favorite playlists. It has 1,725 likes because lots of epileptics also have dark humor like me and we're like, let's go. And I'm constantly adding to it all the time. Anytime I hear a song that has a reference to shaking that's funny enough, I put it on the playlist because it's just funny. It's hilarious to me to just think about that, to take the edge off the scary part of having a seizure. And it's a healing thing. It really genuinely is. Not to be dramatic, but it really genuinely is a healing thing to take time for myself to make a funny ass playlist to share with a bunch of other people who are in traumatic situations like me, like having a seizure disorder, to just laugh about it, girl. To just laugh it off. To giggle, to hoop and holler about it. And this is the example of starting a playlist based off of a situation or a time period in your life. And it can be a really healing experience. Like that's another part of music that's really important. A lot of the music that I'm most attached to has brought me healing of some kind or another, which is part of the reason why I make so many playlists. We've got lots of healing to do over here, okay? Lots of healing. Here is a playlist that is curated based off of a feeling or an emotion, and it is called Good Chemicals. These are songs that I listen to genuinely that just immediately release serotonin and dopamine into every section of my little epilepsy head. Never fails to put me in a good mood just because I enjoy these songs. They don't match, they don't go together. I don't give a fuck because I like all the songs. And the adrenaline of going between all these different vibes is something I enjoy off of this specific playlist. It started with the feeling I get when I listen to Just Fine by Mary J. Blige.
You know I love music.
Oh my God. This joint right here. Makes me wanna, woo! Let it go. Away from you. Fuck! I love this song. Are you kidding? Live my life. Feels so good to get it right. See when I'm looking at me when I'm walking past the mirror. And I got my vibe right. You heard it. You heard her say, got the vibe right. That's exactly what making a playlist is about. So Good Chemicals was based on an emotion I got listening to that song. So that's a hybrid playlist too, where you can listen to it in order or listen to it in shuffle. And it's going to feel good either way. Do you see the difference in my energy level because of that song? That song in itself encapsulates such a vibe and an energy that is unmatched. And to tune into that vibe and to find other songs that even can catch a glimpse of what that song gives me, it has to be a playlist. That's how I start, and that's how all of my playlists develop over time. And I've been making playlists now since I've had a Spotify account. So I think 2013 is when I started my Spotify account. I desperately wish that Spotify let you change your username, because I was a stupid 13-year-old and I had a nickname, Torrance, at the time. I don't even hate it. It's just like kind of weird. Like there was only I don't know. I have no fucking idea why I would choose that as my Spotify account name. And now you can't change it, even though no one calls me that. No one in my life, only like 4 people even know that that was ever even an existing thing. But it's on my Spotify. And I don't want to make a new Spotify because I love everything and I'm not trying to like go through all that. But anyway, so another one of my favorite playlists that's actually based on a movie moment is my songs that make me feel like Bella in New Moon. I've watched Twilight so many times, I can literally recite the words as I'm watching the movie now, all of them, every single one. And you know the scene I'm talking about. It's when Edward leaves and Bella's sitting in the chair and she's like... And this playlist is full of songs that have the exact same vibe, in my opinion, to that moment in New Moon. Because the vibe of that moment for me was, as it is written in my description of this playlist, for reflecting on your despair and basically torturing yourself until you snap out of it. Which sometimes you just gotta do. Sometimes you just have to dive in head first to your feelings so you can feel them and then hit the road, you know? I also have a playlist called Songs for Ass Shaking that's in progress. I have a playlist I'm working on that the cover image is a scary picture I saw of the Teletubbies, but it's also kind of aesthetic picture of the Teletubbies. So I'm using it as an inner child healing playlist cover, because healing your inner child is scary, but also weirdly comforting, like the Teletubbies. That's a vibe. And thus I shall translate that vibe into a curated playlist using the methods I have talked about throughout this video today. My main point that I wanted to get across really in this video is that the power is not held within the aux cord. Honey, the power is held in you. Having a good taste in music has absolutely nothing to do with the music itself, but it has everything to do with being able to tune into the vibe and pick the music accordingly that matches or shifts or somehow interacts with that vibe in a way that is satisfying to yourself and to the people that you're sharing the playlist with. Whether it's cooking to Italian music or French music or soul music, which are my picks, just because it feels right to be putting that energy into the food that will be nourishing your soul. If you're nourishing your ears, you're nourishing your food. It's all being nourished. It feels good. Or whether it's working out, which I don't know anything about that, to hyperpop or hard rock or whatever it may be. Taking a nice walk through the forest to some indie folk or some old country. Any of that, all of it, it all boils down to a vibe that you're searching out, or you're looking for, that you're tuning into, that you want to match the background to. Romanticize your life like it's a movie. Put background music to everything. It's all a vibe. It's all about making connections with yourself, with your emotions, with the people around you, with your loved ones, with people who just share feelings and emotions with you in that way. That's the art of making a playlist. And that's my music curation philosophy. So if you're someone that gets intimidated by the aux cord, I hope that this video inspired you to just throw that shit out the window and make a playlist. If you've never made a playlist before or shared one with someone before, now is the time. Please share it with me, because I love looking at other people's playlists, listening to other people's playlists, figuring out and finding my own little moments in other people's curating moments. It's just a really, really fun way to create community in music. So don't be shy, drop your playlist. If you want to hear some more of my playlist, you can check out my Spotify, which is linked in the description below, along with all of my socials, my personal social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, along with my music blog, Y'all Should Listen, the Instagram and the Twitter, and my personal TikTok is kind of wrapped up in that too, where I post smaller bites of music, polls, artist recommendations, album recommendations. I just started a book club where we're reading some books about music throughout the entire year. So definitely check those out. It's all in the description below. I'm so grateful to get on here every week and talk to you guys about music. And our little community is growing every single day. It just blows my mind that y'all want to sit here and talk with me about this. So please let me know in the comments how you make playlists, your favorite playlist, what you're up to, what you're doing. I want to know. And thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. I will see y'all in a few days with another video. Happy curating. Bye.